Hey, happy Sunday, Facebook family. What's up, man? I'm really happy that the weather got better and that the sun's coming up earlier and it's lighter outside earlier and spring is on its way. I have a lot of cool stuff going on. I hibernate between the end of December and the beginning of March. I don't like the colds, and so people don't usually see me at a lot of shows or a lot of stuff. I do hibernate, and I use those 3 months to take stock of my year and to line up my stuff for following year, line up my calendar, handle home mess of paperwork, handle things on the home front, sleep like I'm doing now, like the lazy bones, I love my bed, man. I have the most comfortable mattress. It's I'm serious. It's like, oh my God. Like to the point where sometimes if I have something that I have to do super early in the morning, I sleep on the guest mattress downstairs instead of on my actual bed, because once I'm in, I'm so comfortable. I don't want to leave. Like, ooh, God. And I don't like to share this bed. I love my bed so much. I don't like me and the dog are having a disagreement about whether she should ever sleep at the foot of or next to me in the bed. She's like, give me the bed. I'm like, no, go sleep in your cushion over there, dog. So you might hear her growl at me. She's asking to be let on. Yeah, nah. Or I think if I ever get back into a relationship, we're gonna fight, because I'm not gonna want to share this bed. It's my fucking bed. Get your own bed. Anyway. So okay. Thanks to everybody for your continued support. My new band, which I am the band leader of, the manager of, and the booking lady for, because I've done that work for a bunch of people and it really helped them get their foot in the door and do some cool stuff. And I said to myself, why don't I just do it for myself? Which is something I wanted to do for a while. I've been wanting to revive my old band for a while, and I'm really glad. I'm really happy with the crew I have. I don't really have like a solid lineup, you know what I mean, because the people that are kind enough to work with me, they do a lot of really cool things. Not just in the music, but in acting, in art, writing. They travel all over the place. Sometimes they have other things that they have to do on contract. So sometimes for people who are non-entertainers, non-performers, who don't know. So sometimes if you are a musician, you might be in more than one band, because believe it or not, music does not make a lot of money all the time. That's only the top X% of music people. So just because you see that I have tracks online does not mean I have a shitload of money. You have to actually sell the records, and the way that people make money is not by you downloading the song, to be honest. It's by you actually physically buying the record or whatever, which people rarely do nowadays, and by coming to the shows. So they have to tour sometimes, whether it's a mini tour just in their area, or whether it's a tour that's overseas or whatever. So because of that, some of the people in my band, if they're touring and I have a gig and I have one coming up on the 21st, they may not be available because they're touring, right? And I have a different philosophy. So, for example, pick a band, any band. I don't know. I don't want to plunk band names in here because I don't want people to be like, oh, she said this about this band. You usually, if you are managed and you're connected to a label, sometimes I won't say usually. Sometimes if you're managed, you're connected to a label, right, and all that stuff. You sign a whole bunch of contracts, and within those contracts are agreements that you're not allowed to moonlight, or maybe you're not allowed to play with any other band but this band for X amount of years or weeks and stuff like that. Okay, I am an independent artist, so I don't have an agreement like that. So my fellow bandmates are committed to working with me and supporting me, but I do not have exclusive rights to their image. I don't have exclusive rights to them. I don't have an agreement that says they're only allowed to play with me. They're allowed to play with other bands. I don't consider that necessarily a conflict of interest. And they are free agents. So if something goes down and they're offered a deal and they want to quit the band, they can. And that does not have to do with any malice. It just has to do with whatever their career goals are. Or frankly, people got to pay the rent. I mean, if they get a deal, they get a deal. You know what I mean? And if they want to take it because it's going to make them more money, you know, then they do it. So you're going to see them in other bands. Some of them were in other bands before they worked with me, and that's not an issue. And so you might see a different guitarist. You might see a different drummer. You might see... That doesn't mean that we had some argument and someone was fired from the band. It just means that maybe someone's touring, someone's in another state, you know, or maybe they were in another group and they had a commitment. And also sometimes the promoters, right, the people who throw the shows, right, they want to make sure they make their money by filling up the venue, by ticket sales, right? So you get people to come out and buy tickets to see the show, right? And clearly the more people come, the more money you make. And also the more people come, the more maybe they buy food or they buy drinks at the bar or the restaurant or the concert hall that they are having the show at. And so the more people you bring in, the bigger the chances that the venue will book you again, because the venue needs to make money too. It is a business, you know, and so the venue needs to make money, and the way that the venue makes money is not just ticket sales necessarily, but by you buying food and drinks there. So like if you want to support the band, you should buy something at the venue, or something to eat, something to drink. You know, if you're not a heavy drinker, one drink or maybe a soda or something, you know, because that helps that what the bar tab is at the end of the night for certain bands and stuff can determine if they're booked there again or on what nights they're booked and stuff like that. Okay, so some promoters, they have you agree or sign an agreement to not perform X number of weeks before or after a show. So let's say you have a really big show at some really big venue, right? Austin, I see you. Hi, Austin. Good morning. I need to talk to you. I need your help on a project, hon. I tried to reach you under one of your Facebook things and the message wouldn't go through. So I'm going to try you again. I see you. Good morning. Have a great Sunday. So I'm explaining to people who are not in the music business a couple of things. Some of my buddies, and what I'm explaining to them is that sometimes a promoter will have shows, and as part of their usual way of doing business, they'll have the artists agree not to perform with any other venue or any other crew, like a week or two before and a week or two after. The reason being, right, is if you're a local independent musician and you making money depends on you gigging, you're going to try to get booked as much as possible. So let's say the promoter has a show coming up in Brooklyn. I'm going to throw a venue out, and I'm going to throw a venue out because I have a good rapport with them, and no one will twist it and think I'm saying anything negative. So Lucky 13, which is known for metal, great group of people. You have a gig at Lucky 13, right? And that is in Brooklyn, Gowanus, where I grew up, blocks from where I grew up. But then you go and you do a gig at Young Ethel's, which is not too far away. And then you do another gig at, oh God, I forget what bar. All over. You just did 5 gigs in the same neighborhood. So if people know that you have a gig, if they just came to your gig last week and they just saw your set, they just saw you play, or if they see that it's $20 or actually $15 to see you at Lucky 13, but it's a suggested donation, or it's only $10 to see you at another Brooklyn venue in only a couple more days, they're not going to come to that person's show. And the promoter really wants people to come to their show because they make their money off of the ticket sales, right? So sometimes some of my fellow musicians who are playing certain instruments for me in Mom's Gone Wrong, right? They might have another gig as part of a bigger show, right? And that they may have had to promise as part of being a member of that other band to not really gig for a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to avoid that. They want to get other people into trouble. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the draw of a band might be a particular musician. Oh, that guy's a great, bass player, man. And they have a little following. You know what I mean? So they have to be mindful of that because it's a legal matter. So there's that. So right now, okay, the deal is that I am looking for subs. That is not because I'm firing anybody in my band. It's because of things like that. And they're legal agreements, like people can sue. Or usually what they do is they don't necessarily sue, but they don't book you anymore. And then it causes problems, financial and other problems. So I also have one band member who is on tour and out of state. I have another band member that is also an actress, and they have, when you do shows in theaters, it's usually a 3 or 4 or 6 week run. And let me tell you something, those especially the Broadway people, man, they work so hard. They sometimes on the weekends, right, we're out gigging. Those Broadway people, it's matinee. So Wednesday and Sunday is matinee. And they have to do maybe 2 or 3 shows in one day. All right? And you remember, you have to dance, you have to sing, you have to act, you have to, it's a lot. You can't be late because time is money. That curtain goes up. You can't hold the show back. It's very strict and it's a lot. So they have a show. They're in a play and they're not able to back me up for a particular gig because it's during the dates where the show is running. Some people get jobs on cruise lines. If you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean doing covers for a bunch of people, on a cruise, right? Or if you promised that you would play as part of a cover band for somebody's wedding, then you can't come to my gig that I'm having coming up soon on March 21st. So, and that's okay. And I'm not mad about it because, again, I'm indie, I'm new, and I don't have any agreement where the band members, I have exclusive rights to them. And if I want something like that, I really would need to be connected to a serious label, and they need to be making money. Because if you're going to make that agreement with somebody, then that means like they better be able to give you steady work and and the situation as such is not like that all the time for people. And then there's people who just want to do all different things. I mean, they're multi-talented and they want to do different things. It's what they want to do with their art. You know what I'm saying? There are also, believe it or not, because music doesn't really always make a lot of money for the majority, the largest percentage of us. People have day jobs. People have families. People have family commitments. There's like so many reasons why one or two members of my band can't make it on a given date. And I cannot always cancel a gig if I'm committed. I cannot always decide that I'm going to gig less. You know what I mean? If I don't think it's good for what I'm doing. So that's why we have subs. We have substitutes who come in and they'll, if that particular night, my bassist is out of state, that person will step in and they'll be on bass for me that night. You know what I mean? So that we can still do the show and have a good time. And that happens more with cover bands, but it does also happen with people who have originals, and I do a mix of both. And the reason I do a mix of both is because I am my own worst critic, and I have a bunch of songs, a bunch of lyrics, right, that are not fully developed yet. And I don't want to perform them until I feel that they sound and I'm presenting them in the way that I think is good. So I'm working with other talented people, producers, other talented people to help me get those songs the way that I think are good, right? That matches the vibe that I want to put out there, the sound that I want to put out there, and get them recorded, get them all copyrighted, all that good stuff, and do what I have to do. And there's people who do it differently. I know there's a lot of people, they go and they do their songs, right? And they do like a poor man's copyright, or a Soundgarden, which is just an electronic version of a poor man's copyright. And they just go out and they gig and they just do their whole set of original songs, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But I choose to do it differently because I'm sorry to say I've been ripped off too many times by too many people. Where people take my lyrics and try to say they're theirs, my tune and try to say they're theirs, my ideas and try to say they're theirs, or they try to say that I work for them, or worked for them, or worked under them, when I don't work under anybody. I'm a free agent. I don't want to work under anybody. I'm independent, okay? And I might help people here and there or collaborate with them. When I collaborate with them, I'm collaborating with them. I don't work for them. They're not my boss, So I really, and the reason they're not my boss is because they're not paying me. And there's no written agreement. You get me? See, I really am big on people being paid for the work that they do, or compensated either by some kind of fair barter of goods and services, or some actual money in their hand, or the XYZ in exchange for a meal, stuff like that. I strongly believe in that. So I don't commit myself long term, or in a situation where someone orders me around or takes credit for my creative content, okay, for free, or without some other compensation, some fair barter compensation. You know what I mean? So I really, and a lot of musicians feel that they have to be for hire at this point in time because it's like really saturated and stuff, So I like to give people that I work with freedom to do what what speaks to them. If at a later date I'm one of those top tier people, which I don't think is gonna happen. Face it, I'm 55. I don't see that happening. Although it has happened in the business. There's been people who didn't get quote unquote discovered until they were 35. There's many musicians that did really well and had to take time off. Aretha Franklin being one of them, and came back in their 50s and 60s and did fantastic the rest of their life. Because some people are lucky. A lot of it is luck. You can be very talented and never be known, and you can be mediocre and know how to play the game and have the right contacts and the right people. You hear her growling? She's trying to argue that she needs to be on my bed. No. And she also wants my full attention. She doesn't like me talking to people on the thing. But yeah, so that's the deal. So Mom's Gone Wrong. Hi. Mom's Gone Wrong is, what are we? We were initially an all-female band. And my arranger and keyboard lady, she got hurt in a car accident. And it was really bad, and we're grateful that she was still here after that, but she was not able to play. And it really broke all of our hearts, and I stopped doing the work. I didn't see being able to continue without my right hand. My right hand. I really needed someone there who really had a solid foundation in music theory and arranging and writing stuff down. And because I don't read or write music, I'm not able to because of how my brain is mapped. Neurodivergent. And that is actually true of a lot of people, like every single member of Black Sabbath, Ari Campbell from UB40, who had a fantastic voice. Most of the Beatles, they didn't read or write music. A lot of people who changed what music history or what we define as music, people who created entire genres, were people who were ear people like me. So I'm an ear person. And so other people are not ear people and they need things written out. And so stop it. My sis, like, I miss her, very good friend. So it went defunct before it even really got anywhere, and that was ages and ages ago, and I decided to revive it. I still would prefer being an all-female band because of the way I wanted to market it and the messaging. But the guys in my band are stellar. They're very good at what they do. They are wonderful supporters, and I'm glad to have them. I offered to even change the name slightly, and they said no. Keep it as Mom's Gone Wrong. So that's what we're gonna do. Our genre is melodic punk, but not pop punk, which to me is an oxymoron and pisses me off. It's more retro, and we also take covers that may have told stories in the lyrics that were male centered or coming from the perspective of a male protagonist, and we flip them to a woman's point of view. So one example, for those of you who are music nerds like me, is if you've ever heard The Knack from the 1970s, My Sharona. You ever heard it? It goes da 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 da. My Sharona, my Sharona, oh my little pretty one, a pretty one, right? A lot of people have heard that song. Maybe young people now haven't because I'm old, but a lot of people have heard that song. Well, Veruca Salt, in the era of grunge, right, the 90s to the thousands, they are all-female band, known for their harmonies, which are incredible, and they did a cover of My Sharona. They didn't change a single word. They didn't change a single note. They just presented it their way, right? And they're an all-female band, a trio, right? And I invite you to do a little exercise and listen to the original My Sharona and listen to the lyrics and maybe look up what the song was about and the inspiration for the song, right? And then listen to both versions, because the second My Sharona, My Sharona, you know, it sounds creepy, right? So without changing a note, but just presenting it their way, they sent a message. They sent a message about what we normalize. And they asked us to look at whether it should be normalized. And in a weird way, they turned the song and they let people know maybe what Sharona's or what a young female's point of view on that narrative was. And they did it eloquently, you know. And I try to not, when I do the covers that way, I try to not change the gender, but sometimes I do. And sometimes it sends a message like Veruca Salt did. And sometimes it shows that some of the hurts and the problems that guys go through, women also go through, you know, and it brings people together, you know. A lot of people like my version of Too Hot to Handle, which I did flip the gender stuff. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that Moms Gone Wrong did. We're kind of like, you know how Riot Girl came out, right? But we're not hardcore. We're not. That's another thing people need to understand, that there's different subgenres of punk. There's different sounds in punk. There's Talking Heads. There's Blondie, and there's, you know, the Ramones, and there's Gwar. You know what I mean? And there's Black Flag. And they're all punk, but they have a different sound. So it's melodic, and it's closer to maybe some of the stuff that came out very, very early, which was melodic and, you know, stuff like that. So that's kind of the thing. And we're basically moms who got fed up with the bullshit. We're the Gen X moms who got fed up with the bullshit. There used to be a commercial when I was growing up that was very funny. It was based on a movie. There was a movie where, I forget what the name of the movie, maybe other people know, where people stuck their heads out and said they were not going to take it anymore. This is bullshit. We're not going to take it anymore. And I think Dee Snider built on that with his song "We're Not Going to Take It." But it's a movie from before that song, "We're Not Going to Take It," where everybody stuck their heads out their window and just yelled, you know, I think I'm fed up and I'm not going to take it anymore, something like that. And then there was a commercial, and it was for women's brasiers, which are very uncomfortable. They have wires under your boobs. It's not a comfortable thing. I don't know why we are expected to bind ourselves and men aren't. It's really annoying. I'm sorry, that was a feminist to me. Oops. And and they and that women were saying, this bra doesn't fit and I'm not gonna wear it anymore. And they were like burning their bras. And it was also like making fun of the feminist movement where they would take bras and burn them in the early days of feminism. So it's along that ethos of, we're the Gen X moms and we're still beautiful. We're still rebels and we're still doing our thing and we're sick of the bullshit and we're like, but in a kind of campy, like funny, endearing kind of way. You know what I mean? And to make fun of those images from the 50s and the 60s and of this 50s or 60s mom and her pinafore, serving some kind of gelatinized casserole to her family in a Betty Crocker cookbook. We kind of make fun of that. Make fun of what people think women are about. And these icons that we use throughout history of what a good mom is, what a good wife is. We make fun of it in our songs a little bit and in our stage presentation, our graphics. That's kind of our deal. And we do make statements. We do. There are political statements, but we do it in a way that is fun, or we hope is fun. And it seemed like some of the young women at one of my shows back in the winter, they picked up on it and they enjoyed the show. I was very happy to see a mosh pit full of women rocking it out. It was pretty cool, We don't necessarily just appeal to women. And oddly, what I find is our shows, when we do our shows, the women are up and enjoying themselves and hopping all over the place, right? When it's live shows, it's very women-centered, right? Including the other bands that ask to be on builds with us or do, stuff with us. But the actual social media following and the people who are listening to the actual songs, in many cases, are males. And they're males either between the ages of, say, 35 and 45, and then there's a little bit of a gap, and then it's 55 and up. So I'm thinking the 55 and up is coming from people in the scene who hear the retro and the throwback to early punk days, who are my peers, who are hearing that and kind of listening to it and going, this sounds a little bit like Blondie, or this sounds a little bit like Rosillos, or this, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And then the other, the younger people are kind of vibing on some of the messaging, I'm guessing. That they kind of dig it, and I'm having fun with it and seeing what happens. We're not making crazy amounts of money. We don't gig out every week. I'm doing my thing. This is what I want to do, and I would rather do it at my own pace, and give people my best sound, my best lyrics, than rush to have this whole set of originals and all this material, and and not have it be a presentation or a sound that I'm happy with. You know what I mean? I don't compare our band to any other band. I am not in competition with anybody but myself. I want to do what I love to do better than I did it yesterday. I'm not interested in giving a crap where my ratings are compared to other people. I don't care. I don't look at that. I'm not interested. I'm not here to compete with anybody but myself. Okay? And that kind of makes people mad because they like to compete and they start competitions with me. Then I don't participate, and then it pisses them off. I don't know what that's about. I've never been a jealous person. I don't think toxic competition is good. I'm not down with it. It's an art, and we're individuals, and there's nobody like me on the whole planet. There's nobody like my guitarist on the whole planet. There's nobody like my drummer on the whole planet. There's nobody like my bassist or my rhythm guitar person or my keyboard person on the whole planet. The Creator made us individual people with our own stuff, our own sound, our own talent, our own hopes and fears. There is no one like them on the planet. They cannot be duplicated. People who try to duplicate what I do, it doesn't come off the same way I do it because they're not me. It's that simple. And the same thing with the other artists I work with. So we're unique. So how can you compete? Because you would have to put two completely different, unique human beings or groups of human beings. You know what I'm saying? So I don't fall into that. I come out of the punk ethos where there's not really hierarchy and highly individualistic. And so I don't fall into the industry and the corporate ethos that maybe record labels have to make you follow because they're looking to make you a commodity and sell you to the masses. You know what I mean? So I don't have that. Like, I naturally don't have that, and I'm planning on keeping it that way. You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking other people who have a different way of doing it, but that's not how I do it. I've been getting calls or text messages from other artists, other musicians, telling me about the band that I left, the New York Rats. Oh, they're doing this. Like, please do not call me, text me, email or message me to talk to me about the New York Rats. I am not interested in those conversations. I don't watch their pages. I don't watch what they're doing. I am busy doing me. I have a lot on my plate. Not just in terms of the music, but in my daily life. I have responsibilities to other people. I'm the head of my household. I have a lot of stuff that I have to take care of. I have court cases. I have things that I have to take care of. And they keep me very, very busy. I sometimes feel tired and overwhelmed. So these kinds of discussions take my time, my energy away from all the other responsibilities I have and the creative projects I'm working on. So people who bring that stuff to me are not helping me. They're distracting me from doing what I have to do. And they're what we call in Spanish mete mierdas, shit stir uppers. Because they come and report to me what my prior band is doing, and then they wait for a response. And then, of course, they go back, instigators. They go back to the other band. She said this, and sometimes it's repeated in a context that it wasn't said in. You know what I mean? And I don't understand the point of it. Why do individuals want me and my prior band to go at it? I'm not interested in going at it. I left the band. I left. I was not fired from it. I left. Okay? I made that decision because there was something that I needed to do. Something I needed to protect and something I needed to do that was precious to me. All right? I don't want to go into it anymore. It's been months. I'm tired of this conversation. I don't have to explain to other people my creative or my business decisions. I don't expect other artists to explain to me. Okay, I don't answer to people who do not pay me. And people who do pay me, them paying me is under very specific terms. If they're paying me to get up and sing, that is specific. If they're paying me to throw a show, that is specific. If they're paying me to mop the floor or to serve the coffee, that is what they're paying me for. It does not then give them carte blanche over every aspect of my life where I have to explain all of my choices and creative decisions in other areas. They also do not have exclusive rights to me in everything I do. So I'm tired of this conversation. Please don't initiate it anymore. I think it's very unprofessional. I really do. I think it's super unprofessional as well. I don't want to hear what XYZ band said about me or did. I don't care. I don't want to hear comparisons or your personal opinion when you make a comparison between me and people in my former band and whether it was better when I was there or not, or whether it's better now that I'm not there. I don't care. I didn't ask for your critical review. Please don't bring discussions like that to me. It is really, really unprofessional. And people who think that they have to somehow stroke my ego and say, oh, that band was better when you were on it. Can I have a paid gig? That is really, really, really slimy. And it really shows that you have a low opinion of me and a low opinion of the criteria I use when I decide to collaborate with people or book people in something. You don't have to kiss my ass and put me on a pedestal and pander in that way to get a gig. What you have to do is be talented, be somebody who's not a total jerk and easy to work with, and have your sound and your genre and your messaging kind of line up with, the theme of the event. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to come here and badmouth other artists, or try to stir up conflict between me and other artists. And you don't have to be a spy and report to me what other artists who you think I have beef with are doing in order to continue to get a gig. And if that's been the environment that you have had to work in order to get booked before, then you were probably dealing with a very exploitative business model, and I feel sorry for you that you've had to do that for all these years in order to get paid gigs. But you don't have to do that with me. That's not how I operate. So I've had to put some people on silent mode or temporary block because I don't want to have those discussions anymore. I'm not interested in those discussions. Okay? I'm really not interested. Another person came to me and told me something to the effect of, people are doing charity gigs to compete with you. And I laughed. And they said that they were deliberately setting up their charity events on dates that they've observed I usually have events at. Okay. I have very few, well, I shouldn't say I should say the nonprofit has very few events that are kind of set in stone and happen on the same date every year or the same general, weekend every year. Very few. We kind of go with the flow. And often we do stuff because people ask us to. And so the dates change all the time, like when we do stuff. So I find that funny. So just because I did a show on July 27th one year doesn't mean it's an annual thing. So people aren't harming me or competing with me if they do an event on July 27th. And the world is a big place, and no one owns music and no one owns charity. And I'll just say what I told this to my daughter, and I also told this to a producer in the punk and metal indie scene out here. Okay. We went out and we did a bunch of shows centered around anti-bullying and helping people who were targets of bullying, right? And it raised a lot of money. Now, it was genuinely something that my kid had experienced and that she wanted to help other people get past, and it spoke to her heart, and she did it because she genuinely cared about that particular topic. Okay? And that particular, charity, or whatever. It was helping people who were healing from having been severely bullied, right? Okay. She did it because she cared, right? And that's why we should do stuff. We should do stuff because it's simply the right thing to do, and we really care. We genuinely want to help people. And this particular topic is, a topic that's dear to our heart, or a concern that's dear to our heart. We shouldn't do it because we want to get an in, or we want to impress people, or we have some weird need for validation, or we think that if we help X number of people, we get special points with the Most High and we'll go to heaven instead of hell. We shouldn't do it because we should do it because it's genuinely, we're a decent person and we care about people, and this is like something we want to do. Whatever cause it is, whether it's breast cancer, like my friend Tucky is doing right now, or whether it's taking care of animals, or whether it's the environment, whatever speaks to you, you know what I mean? You're doing something to make things better. This is a good thing. And why would we discourage anybody from helping other people? Ever. So what I told her when someone saw the idea, there was someone who was jealous of her because they're into that toxic competition, corporate, capitalist type of systemic thing that we teach musicians to have, which is unfortunate because sometimes it takes away from the art. It's an art as well, and it's a deeply personal art that comes from you. So she, someone saw that she was in the paper, in the newspaper, and she was getting, recognized for the work, the kindness that she did, and they got jealous. And I want to be in the newspaper too. I want to be on the evening news too, and I want to be featured in a podcast too. And this, so they went out and they were a copycat, and went out and did anti-bullying too. And my daughter was annoyed, so she took my idea. Okay, and people are gonna know who did it first and whose idea it is, and they're going to see that they're biting off of your business model. They're going to see that they're biting off of your ethos, and they're not going to be able to pull it off the same as you. It's going to be good. It may even be bigger. They may even generate more donations, but people are going to know that they're trying to bite off of you, and it's not, and it's a cheap knockoff, right? They're going to know. But why did you do this campaign in the first place? You did it to help people, right? You didn't do it to get an in or to get a lot of other stuff. That happened later because people vibed with you and appreciate what you were doing, right? But you didn't do it for that reason. You did it because you genuinely cared. And you still genuinely care, so you can still do it. You see, we don't own music. We don't own creativity. We don't own generosity. We don't own altruism. But this system wants to make everything marketable. How do I make money off of that? How do I make money off of that? and they don't see altruism as genuine, right? So I told her, in your case, you were being genuine. It was altruistic. You genuinely cared. You see, and then there's no price tag on that, on being a beautiful person, or there's no price tag on it. There's no price tag. See, human lives are not a commodity. I know that the system says that, but they're not. They're precious. They don't have a price. So if you saved one kid's life, there is no price tag, and the ripple effect and the spiritual repercussions, that the karmic repercussions of that are immense, and they do manifest into monetary and other things. What you put out is what you get back, and what you put out with a pure heart matters immensely, you know. And that's part of the reason why it's a cheap knockoff, because the person's heart isn't in it. It's a gimmick, and people are able to feel, even in the show, the vibe between an artist who's cranking out the song to make a few dollars, and an artist who really firmly believes with deep personal conviction in what it is that they are doing on that stage. The vibe and the energy is 100% different. You will feel it. You will feel it. Your bandmates will feel it. The venue owner will feel it. The audience will feel it. Period. When someone gets up, for example, and they have never suffered, they've never worked, they don't know what it is to be discriminated against, they don't know what it is to have been hurt or misjudged or mistreated, right? They don't know what it is to have struggled, or been hungry, or been cold, or been homeless, or been locked up, and they get up and they sing Sam Cooke's Long Time Coming. They can probably do it, especially if they're trained, with amazing accuracy on the notes. It'll sound amazing. But when someone who has been through all of the stuff that Sam went through when he wrote that song, and they get up on that mic and they have no training, and they may not have their notes perfect, they may not have a perfect presentation, but they get up and they say, there was a time when I thought, Lord, please let this long man go. And somehow I felt I was still able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know that a change has got to come. Oh, yes, it is. It's been too hard living, and I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the clouds. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change has got to come. Oh, yes, it is. Unless you know what the fuck that feels like, it ain't gonna sound the same, and it ain't the blues, because the blues is born of suffering. It's not about whether you're black or white. The blues is a genre born out of suffering. Okay? You can get all the notes fine. You can go to Juilliard or whatever, but you're not going to pull it off the same. And the audience is not going to... I'm crying because I'm remembering what it was like to be in that space and to channel that. Okay? And so the audience is going to respond. It's called catharsis. And then they're going to give back to you, I know what that feels like, bro. I feel you. And then you're going to throw it back and you're going to have a moment. And you know what I mean? So it's kind of the same thing. Like when you do something from the heart, it's a different vibe. It has a different ripple effect. It has power. All right? So that's the first thing I told my daughter. The second thing I said is, if your whole purpose was to raise awareness and to get people to get involved and to help people who are being targeted and bullied and mistreated in school or in the arts or whatever, right? Then if someone else goes out and does the same thing, more people are being helped. And if for whatever reason they have a bigger reach, even more people are helped. And here's how I said it to the producer. If I decide to open a soup kitchen in my neighborhood, right? And I managed to feed 100 people, right? And those people are really touched and appreciate how I help them, and they tell people, and someone puts me in the paper, and another person, their only agenda is to be in the paper or one-up me, right? They don't really care about those hungry people, right? But they want to one-up me. So now they go and they get money or they connections that maybe they have that I don't have, and they go out and they build a soup kitchen, and they make sure that it's bigger and it's better and it has more media attention, and they're, oh, look at me, look what I did, look at me, because it's about them, right? And they feed 200 people, right? Then 300 people in the community were fed. 300 lives ate today where they might not have, right? And you still, by doing what you did, by you taking that initiative in the beginning and doing what you did, you laid a plan, you laid a blueprint, you laid a foundation, right? That others built on. Their motives for why they do it are between them and the Most High. You don't need to worry about other people's motives. Worry about your own motives for doing things. But you built, and now because of you, because you took that first step, 300 people are fed. Whether it was you who fed all 300 or whether it was a copycat who added, does not matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you genuinely cared about hunger, and you did something that led to 300 people being fed today. And now somebody else is going to come along, and they're going to want to do it, and they're going to want to do it. And before you know it, we're all competing. We all want to be special. We all want to be on the news. We all want people to buy our record about hunger. We all want to be superstars on TV and wonderful people. We could be ugly, nasty people. But look at us. We feed the hungry. Whatever their motive or their stuff is, you don't have control over. You don't have control over other people's motives, whether they're sincere, whether they're pure of heart. You don't have control over that. It might piss you off that they seem to be capitalizing on altruism, but you don't have control over that. You only have control over your motives, and you know you went in with a pure heart, and so did the people who were there when you first laid that foundation. They're not going to forget you. And when you're dealing with stuff, they're going to remember, they're going to help hold you up because you first held them up. And that's also not a reason why we do it, but that's often how it works. Okay? So, next thing you know, it's a habit to feed hungry people. It's normalized. It's something we just do. And there are fewer people in the world who are hungry. The Black Panthers did it with their breakfast program. Now we have free lunch. Millions of people of all colors and backgrounds, their kids go to school and have a healthy breakfast, even no matter whether they have the money for it or not, because one small group of people wanted to deal with what was going on in their community, and they started that free lunch program. And now we can say we have the Black Panthers to thank for that. That's the truth. That's the history. Millions. Think about how many children are going to get up tomorrow and go to school, and there's a meal there. And then it was stigmatized at first, right? When you saw kids who were getting the free lunch, now it's just the norm in a lot of places where school districts just give it, whether you're poor or not. Look, you're coming to school, you're forced to be here, eat. So now there's no stigma attached to it. Kids can just eat. How is that not a huge, giant thing? They're children. Kids can just eat and then go and learn with a tummy that's not bothering them and a clear head. And those considerations about status are not even there anymore. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? And a group of crazy revolutionary Black people running around did that. And we know that they did it and where their hearts were. That wasn't forgotten. Right? And that's what I tell people when they try to come to me with, oh, someone stole your idea and they're doing benefit shows now and they're doing it on the days that you do it. I practice altruism 24/7, 365. It's just that people took notice because I used music, to try to gather people together to collect items to do it. But I don't need a special day. I don't need a special day. I don't need it to be Christmas for me to give somebody I love a gift. I don't need it to be Valentine's Day to feed chocolate to my lover or to tell them that I love them or to do something special for them. I don't need it to be Halloween to respect my ancestors who've passed. I don't need it to be Veterans Day to thank someone for their service and their sacrifice, even if I don't agree with war, and even if I don't agree with the reason for the war, and even if I don't like the commander-in-chief, to acknowledge that this person felt in their heart that they wanted to protect us, and they were willing to lay their life on the line to do it, and they took time away from their family to go and do that somewhere else. Okay? We are at war right now. All right? I don't have to have a special day called Memorial Day to remember people who died in our wars. Or their families who also sacrificed because they lost a loved one. I don't need it to be a special day. I can practice what I do and use my talent that I believe came from another place and channel it to help people any time I want. I can step out of my house right now and do it. In fact, I might have done it in this video. So I don't need a special day. I don't own days of the year where nobody else is allowed to do a benefit, or no one else is allowed to help people in need, on a specific day because, I usually do it on the 27th, or I allegedly usually do it on the 27th of whatever month, or I usually do it. No, and I don't own that. And I don't own music. And no one owns my voice. See, I haven't signed it over in a contract, which I think is ridiculous. You know what I mean? What did I do? Come and see if your vocal cords were used at any time during the last 24 hours without their consent? Do they come and measure and check that? I can leave my house right now, go down to the corner, put a cup down, and belt one out and see what happens. And if somebody appreciates the message and wants to give me $1, they will. I don't need permission. I don't. I might need permission to use amplified sound. If it's private property, I may need permission to stand on that property. I can go out in public right now. Hallelujah, oh Lord. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do about it. See, I came up in anarchist punk and like, I understand about free agency like nobody's business. We believe that certain things have power over us, when actually we are ceding our power. We're ceding our power. We're ceding our talent. We're ceding our power to these people and these systems. And we don't have to. And there might be consequences for refusing to cede your power. And if you're willing to accept the consequences, then you're willing to accept the consequences. But we usually comply with certain things because it's convenient and we don't want the hassle. Not because they really have power over us. See, we wouldn't need guns and bombs and dogs and tasers and cuffs and human zoos called jails with bars and guards and locks and alarms. We wouldn't need all of that. Right? If the human will was not so strong. Right? They have to use violence and weapons to force us, to scare us, to kill us into compliance. That should tell you how powerful you are. That they need all of this stuff to keep you in line, doing things the way they say. Right? If we weren't so powerful, they wouldn't have to do all of that. And they wouldn't have to constantly up the ante and come up with new technology and new crazy sick things to do to scare people into compliance. We comply because it's either just easier and less of a hassle, and we find it convenient, and we're comfortable in being complacent with certain things, and we don't want to give up our comfort, or because we are afraid of their violence. We're kept in line under force of punishment. This is all anarchist stuff. But we don't have to. That's what the whole civil rights movement and civil disobedience was based on. If en masse we all decide to just not comply with this shit, right? We don't have to. And match violence with violence eventually, and it'll be a bloody revolution. I don't know, whatever. But it's true of art. It's true of other things too. I don't need permission to sing, and neither does anyone else. And I don't need permission to help people in need, and neither does anyone else. Now, there are legal guidelines that are there because the government wants its cut, right? It wants its taxes, or because the government wants to make sure that you're not ripping people off. So you follow them. But for the most part, people don't own altruism. So what I have to say is, whoever is doing something that helps someone who is in need or someone who is suffering, please keep doing it. And if the only motivation that got people to get up and do it was competing with one another, by all means, if you're going to compete, right, please do not compete for who has the right to kill someone today. Please do not compete for who has the right to rape someone today. Please compete over who's going to be better at helping people in their community who are hungry or sick or crime victims or medically fragile or in need of help, please, by all means, compete with one another over who is better at helping the next person who has less or who's suffering. If you're going to compete, please do compete over that. Please compete over who is able to make the world a more beautiful place. Over who makes the world through visual art more beautiful. Over who makes the positive things that we're going to encounter today more meaningful. Please compete over that. Please, because we've had people who've been competing over who's better at raping the most little girls. If you're going to compete over something, I would so much rather you compete over that. We have people in Congress competing over who gets to be more of a rip-off artist over the people. Because there is no lesser two evils. They're all charlatans up in there. So if you're going to compete for something, please compete over that. Over who is better and who gets to that guy who's suffering faster. Well, who is able to get more money out of these deep pockets to help their community. Who's able to save more lives today? Please compete over that, by all means. If that's what people are doing, and me throwing my tiny little shows was the catalyst for that, thank you for using me. That's my answer to that. That's my answer to that. You know, so stop coming to me with spy notes on other musicians. And when I see people doing that, I wonder, what are they telling other people about me? When it's my so-called competition, you know, I don't consider my past band my competition. I'm not interested in competing with them. I don't consider other producers of shows competition. I don't believe in it. Like I said in the beginning, I compete with myself. I want to do what I love to do and what brings me joy, and what maybe, if I'm lucky, reaches another person and heals them and helps them. I want to do that better than I did it yesterday. I'm standing in my authentic self. This is not a mask. This is not a gimmick. This is not a Ponzi scheme. This is not a money-making operation. If anything, I've lost a lot of money doing it. This is me and my authentic self. This is what I want to do with my voice. This is what I want to do with my music. This is what I want to do. Now, if along the line I manage to make a few dollars, make a profit, that is gravy. I'm happy if I'm able to get to a point where I'm able to pay my bills without as much hardship, without as much juggling, where I'm able to make sure that my sons who have permanent disabilities are okay, are comfortable. And by comfortable, I don't mean a mansion. I mean their basic needs are met and they don't have to worry about eating and paying the rent at the same time, which is the state of affairs for most people. And they have their services and they're okay and they're safe and they're thriving. They're all right. I don't need a mansion. I don't need a yacht. I don't need all this extra. And I have extra compared to many other people. Compared to many other people, I have extra. And compared to many other people, I don't have shit. And you know what? It's okay. Because I have myself. When I get up on that stage and I sing that note, I'm standing in my authentic self. I'm genuinely enjoying what I'm doing. I'm genuinely wanting that connection with the audience and enjoying it. The messaging that I'm putting out is genuine. In the song Basta, when I say that I love and accept my partner, and I'm in it for the long haul, whether he is busking on the corner with a cup or whether he's winning a Grammy on the red carpet with the elites making millions of dollars. I'm going to love him the same because I love him for the person he is and not the paycheck they hand him. That is coming from my true belief. That is truly what I believe. That is truly what I feel. That is truly how deeply I love my lover. When I get up and I do the Song of Vavoom and I talk about what it was to be completely smitten by somebody and lose my ability to stand, my knees go weak, that really happened. I was really that much taken by somebody. Where the guy walked in, looked up, smiled at me, and I, boom, fell on my ass. My friends and I joke about that to this day. I was genuinely that moved and that much infatuated with someone. And I decided to memorialize that moment in song and to let people know that no matter how old you are, you can still be love struck. No matter how old you are. You know what I mean? And you can still fangirl. You can still, and all of us, like even people who you might think are out of your league or out of anybody's league or who are really gorgeous or successful or rich or whatever you attach to that, they feel nervous around somebody that they want to impress or have a crush on, or you know what I mean? It's part of life. There are things that we just go through as human beings that don't have anything to do with all those labels. You know? And I'm sure people will identify. Like there's somebody they had a crush on and they tried to make a move and made themselves look like an ass. And we're laughing about that. That's what Vavoom is about. You know? And Jem being healed from traumas. And being able to look back and say, I'm not that person you mistreated anymore. I'm not your victim anymore. You know? The hand washer. Talking about how people who are handlers, you know, sometimes have more karma coming to them than the actual predators. Because they help the predator have access to their prey. And they're going to have to live with that. It changed what they are. They're now also a monster. And how the people who cover up these crimes of child trafficking, right, are often more of a monster. Because if it wasn't for their silence, right, or for their abetting it, right, it might not have gotten so big and so horrible. You know? How sick you have to be. How you have to spend your whole life constantly covering up, even for yourself, what a monster you really are. You know? You know? And how we can deny it all we want, especially in cases of family trafficking and incest. You can hide it all you want. You know what you did. You know what you did. And you got to live with it. And it's very common for people who do that to say that the person disclosing the abuse is crazy, making it up, delusional, da-da-da. At the end of the day, that person knows exactly what they did. That lady, what's her name? Ghislaine Maxwell. Lady, you know what you did to those young girls. You know what you did. You're a fucking monster. Pam Bondi, you know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? That lady who allowed some guy to have their way with their daughter in exchange for social upward mobility. She knows what she's doing. Methinks the lady protested too much. lady, we know what you're doing. And the more that you flip out and try to speak ill of the person disclosing, the more it becomes obvious. You know what you did was wrong on top of it. And all you have to do is stop doing it and fess up to what you did. It isn't as hard or as complicated as people think to turn around and stop doing the wrong thing. You know? So that's what the hand wash is about. And it's my story, and I wrote it. Okay? And I chose that it be used only for victims of those crimes. And anyone who's using that song for any other purpose is stealing from a charitable organization, and they will be exposed. And I don't need a report from anyone else or to do anything. You know, someone told me when people speak ill of you, sometimes you let them. And I find that funny. Let them, as if I have control over people's mouths, right? So if someone wants to go and say, Dan Molina is a whore, I don't have control over their tongue. They're going to say what they're going to say. I don't have control over that. So why would I make myself crazy over what I cannot control? Right? It's not even a matter of let them, because they don't need my consent, and I can't control what they say. What I can control is how I respond to it and what I do, right? And all of this stuff is to distract me from running the shows and moving forward with the work of the band, right? Because like if I stop and get into a convo with this person about, they said that about me, they're using my song for what? We have a contract, or whatever the deal is that they want to bring to me. And I'm not saying that that's going on. I'm just saying this is the crap that's being brought to me, right? Then I'm not spending time organizing and booking my next show. I'm not spending time working on the next melody to go with my next set of lyrics. So sometimes the best response, and spiritual people will tell you this, spiritual people of all faiths will tell you this, and even people who aren't spiritual, who are just in the business, will tell you that sometimes the best response is absolutely no fucking response at all. And that it'll be hard for a little while. But a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, the truth comes out in the wash. Right? And a lot of times the traps that people will lay for you, they fall into. That's number one. Number two, you discover who are the people who are critical thinkers and who are the people that believe the last thing that they heard. And you want to work with people who are critical thinkers. Right? So you learn who it is you can trust, who you can work with, and who you can't, by how people respond to the vicious gossip. Right? People start to treat you differently. Good. Those are people you don't want to work with. People who say, I've worked with her, I've seen how she operates, I know her, and this has to be bullshit. And don't even come and report it to you. Just keep working with you and keep helping you. Those are the people you want in your corner. And they're going to be few and far between, but they're going to be solid. You know? And that's what you want. You want the solid people. You don't want all of this wishy-washy stuff. You find out who is only interested in your money and you paying them. I hear you pay for gigs, right? And who is really an artist. You know what I mean? And understands that you got to work for stuff. You know, and it's not always, sometimes it's thankless, and you know what I mean? It takes a while. You know? You're going to find that out. You're going to find that out. You know, and that's, after a while, when the truth comes out, people are going to feel bad that they were so easily led to treat you a certain kind of way or whatever. They're going to feel bad. And if they have a conscience, they're going to circle back. They may not come to you and say, I'm so fucking sorry. They may not confess what they did to mess you up that you didn't deserve. They'll just stop bothering you. Stop talking shit about you. Maybe help you when they can. You know what I mean? That's how it pans out. So sometimes the best response is no response at all. These people want a response. They want to compete where you didn't throw the gauntlet down and declare a competition. They want to beef with you. They want, and it's a waste of time. You work on your stuff. So circle back to what I started with. I'm really happy about my band. I want to thank the people who've been supporting what I'm doing. I'm really excited about our show on the 21st. The 21st of March is Rosie the Riveter Day. And we're going to honor the sacrifices that women made on the home front. Right? For America to become great. You can't fight a war without bullets. And it was everybody's mothers in the factories working for the first time en masse out of the home that allowed this economy to thrive and allowed us to have the bullets to shoot Nazis with. They were in there making them in factories. They were there supporting that effort from the home front while their men were fighting, and that means a lot. And the reason that I decided that a portion of the door will go to Gold Star moms, American Gold Star moms, instead of usually people give it to the Rosie the Riveter Foundation so that they can keep that history alive and teach people about Rosie the Riveter and what it was about, what that is about, which is awesome. I chose not to give it to the Rosie the Riveter Foundation. I chose it to give to people, mothers who lost their children in our wars. Okay? Because it isn't the elites declaring war. They send our sons and our daughters to fight. And there is nothing that, no bigger sacrifice that a mother, besides her own life, can ever give up than having to suffer burying her own child. So those women who have lost their children in our wars also sacrificed greatly. And women in this country sacrificed much. Many different groups sacrificed much, and we all want to argue about who suffered more, who sacrificed more. But the red on the American flag represents sacrifice. And everybody put something in to make this place allegedly great. Women have a lot to do with how this country became an empire. And they are deserving, they have earned, and they are worthy of respect and protection by the highest offices of this government. And I'm going to leave it there. We remember the sacrifices of our mothers on March 21st. I am so honored to be able to do a show that focuses on that. And where some of the proceeds will go to the next lady who gets that telegram from Iran. That telegram, that call, that knock at the door. Ma'am, I'm sorry. To report to you from the United States Army, from the United States Marines, that your son, that your daughter served honorably and is no longer with us. That money is to help that woman who gets that call next. We are at war. That is for the next person who gets that telegram. I do this for different reasons than other people. I am not going to stop doing it. Stupid things that people say are not going to deter me. Okay? So I'm very grateful. I am very excited to have some really good musicians and artists behind me. It's going to be a great show. And I did something a little different this year. I went out and I bought some Win for Life lottery tickets. And if you are active duty military, right? Enlisted active duty military, and waiting for your call to go out, or on leave, or whatever it is, or you are a veteran and you come to my show, you get a Win for Life lottery ticket. And let's pray that you win for life. All right. And that's while supplies last. Okay. At least 50%, if I can give more, it depends on how the door does. 50% of the proceeds, what's up? 50% of the proceeds are going to go to our Gold Star moms, that next lady that's going to get that telegram. All right. For whatever she needs, man. All right. And I'm thrilled. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be, on top of it, just a fun show. I love the whole Rosie the Riveter look. It's in line with my whole retro, vibe. The whole we can do it, and remembering that women work, the workers, and how much women through work, our work, contributes to the economy. I'm really excited for this show. I hope people will come out in support of those moms, and of the bands. I know what some of the songs and sounds on the set are, and it's gonna be a really good show. So I want to thank EJ Mojo Sky for coming out again to Young Ethels. I want to thank the crew at Young Ethels. I want to remind everybody, it is so appropriate to have it at Young Ethels because Young Ethels is a women-owned operation. And this is about remembering women who supported on the home front. Okay? That is the history. It has nothing to do with hating men. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just the history. It's what happened, and we're a continuation of that. I'm really happy to have Anna Na Anna on board. I've been wanting to book them for a while. Hope they can still do the show. We were worried that there might be scheduling issues. If there is, they'll be up next time, and I'll find another band to help us out. But I think that scheduling issue is being handled. I really love their vibe. I really want that energy up there, so I'm psyched for that. And I'm excited to see our Rosies. Our Rosies came in all different colors. We had Black Rosie the Riveters, we had white ones, we had Asian ones. It was women, American women, citizens of all different backgrounds who are out there doing their thing. So I'm excited. Some people dress up like Rosie for the day. I'm excited to see that. If people do that at the show, that's pretty awesome. I would love to see that. Bring your Rosie vibe. I'm happy to have Hope, appropriately named person, as our MC for the day. She always brings a positive and very loving, kind of humanitarian, loving vibe to every show that I've done with her. I'm really happy to have her on board. Again, it's the second time I'm seeing one of my events, and I'm really thrilled to have her. Big shout out to our sound guy, Mr. Reyes. We're gonna rock it out, and I know that you're gonna make the make it sound amazing, you know. And most importantly, to the people who come out, all right, in support. And if you know somebody who's a veteran, who a Gold Star mom, tell them about our show. Tell them to come out and say hi. We're doing this for them, you know. So the more people come out, the more people get help, you know. And I think it would be really messed up if people went out of their way to see that a charity show does badly. And if that's what people are doing, you know what, karma will get them. You know what I mean? Karma will get them. But you know, if you even help one person, just one person, especially one person grieving that they lost their child to war, which is the worst, most inhumane thing on the planet. It brings out the worst man's inhumanity to man that there is. Okay, it's destructive in every aspect. It destroys the earth. It destroys human beings. It destroys so much. So sometimes some people feel it's a necessary evil. Other people feel it's never necessary. You know, it is a reality right now that we are at war, and I'm here to help people impacted. That's it. You know, so, and I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy to do it. You know, and if you're helping people, keep helping them. And if you're hindering others from helping people, shame on you. And you'll get what energy you put out for doing that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm really thrilled. I'm also happy about the recording stuff. You know, like I said, I'm going slow, partly because money. It costs a lot of money to record, and you know, I got to take it slow because I don't, contrary to popular belief, I don't have it like that. And also because I really want to make sure that what I put out there, it's not a rush. It's not something I'm hurrying to put out because I want to be one up on the next guy. This has to do with me, what I want to, what sound I want to put out, what I want to present to people. You know, and I'm glad that I'm in a position where I don't have a contract or a label telling me, you got to do it by this time. You know, I get to take my time, you know, and see where it goes, you know. But I really enjoyed our recording sessions that we've had with Mike over at Behind the Curtain Media. He's worked with a lot of really well-known people. I'm so happy to be on the list of people with all those big names. You know, that's kind of cool, you know. And on top of it, I'm looking to see, I'm like, these are actually really not only talented, but they're genuinely good people that he's worked with. And he's a genuinely great guy, and I loved working with him. And we'll continue to work with him as we go, you know, as needed, you know. I'm really excited for the record drop. I'm really excited for the EP. I'm really excited for other shows that we're going to be doing. I'm really excited for a lot of the amazing people I'm meeting. I'm really excited for a lot of the artists that are musicians that are backing me up. You know, I'm thrilled to have Tucky, amazing bassist on our team. I'm thrilled to have Janet, also a bassist, who is a hip hop dancer on top of it, which I think is amazing, and who usually does funk, R&B, a little bit of classic rock. I'm very grateful for Talia, our rhythm guitarist. Her background is jazz guitar. She's amazing. Love her, out of Boston. And I hope her show goes amazing. We wish her well. Of course, Kev, who helped me by co-producing. Amazing guitarist, genuinely nice guy. Happy to have him on board. And my main man, Dave Dawson on drums. I think there would be so many bands in the scene who would be at such a loss, unable to gig, unable to do jack if it wasn't for Dave. Amazing drummer, amazing person. I appreciate his love and support and guidance. It's really an honor to have this crew backing me up. We are looking for a sub bassist because my bassists are constantly busy with other stuff. We're looking for a sub guitar because Talia's busy at her show. You know what I'm saying? So if you know anybody, you want to help Mom's Gone while I'm out, hit me up. I already have a couple people helping me out, but hit me up. You know? And really grateful. I'm grateful for the venues that have been supportive of our band. I'm happy to see more venues doing benefits. It is needed. Good for you. Keep doing it. You know, I like being on this level, the indie level, that middle level there, right? Because these are businesses in our communities that keep the economics of the community thriving. They're often family run. We want to keep them afloat. We don't want big conglomerate corporates to own the art and the messaging. We want our mom and pop venues, that local bar, that local concert hall. We want them, that local theater, we want them to stay afloat. But we want it done in a way that is not exploiting artists. Okay? We need to cut it out with the pay to play and the bullshit. Okay, we really do, guys. Cut it out. Okay, there has to be more of a fair, symbiotic thing going on. Okay, but we want to keep them open and doing well, so that they don't feel they have to move to business models that aren't fair. You know what I mean? And we want to keep people employed. You know, we want the money to stay in the community. You know what I mean? These are the same mom and pop businesses that will often sponsor your little league. You know what I'm trying to say? We want to keep them afloat. So it's very, it's really an honor to have relationships with some of these local places. It really is. And it's an honor to be there. And this is where a lot of musicians, you know, you can't really be a performer without doing it. And these are the venues that get what people start in, you know, and it's important to support them as well. And to try to be fair, you know, artists also have to be fair. I've dealt with some artists that I've booked. They get very, you know, they get very, like maybe some of them are not used to getting paid, and then they get a couple paid gigs with me, and then they, it gets to their head a little bit. They get a little bit diva sometimes. I don't know how else to say it, or they start to take advantage. Okay, so we don't want the venues to take advantage of artists. We also want the artists to not take advantage of our venues or our promoters. Okay, you got to be fair to one another for this to work well. So I'm really glad because I'm seeing a lot of more balance. And then there were some people who just balanced like that from the beginning, and I'm very glad to, you know, to have met them and earn their respect, you know, and stuff like that. And I want to see these places do well, you know, I do. So that's where I'm at for today. It looks like it's going to be a nice day. Not as nice as yesterday, but nice. So I'm going to get myself up, get myself something to eat. I'm dealing with a medical issue. So those of you who are believers, please pray, you know, that medical issue be cleared up as soon as possible. You know, trying to rest more and practice more self-care. It's very important, right? If I'm not well, I can't do anything. So I'm trying to be mindful of that. I have another business that I'm working on. You know, you need to have sources, some kind of source of income, something to help you through, you know. And again, contrary to popular opinion, I don't have whopping sums of money. I'm not secretly rich. There's no trust fund. There's no illegal, off the books sources of money. I've helped a lot of people in my life from when I was young. And when people see me struggling, they feel that because I have helped them, they should help me. They don't owe me shit. But some of them, I've helped them and they would like to help me. And so there's people who help, and not necessarily with money. It could be something as simple as, you know, the thermostat broke. Somebody comes and gives me a Walmart gift card and I'm able to buy a new thermostat. Or somebody comes and helps fix things. Or somebody helps, they have a snowblower. They see that I'm getting older and I got a shovel. You know, single mom by myself. My kids are strong, but they really, because of their challenges, can't always do the whole corner property. And the guy's nice enough to, he's got a snowblower. He takes the snow, sometimes salts, you know, just as a kindness, as a courtesy. Very nice of him to do. Things like that do save me money and time, you know. People bringing food by, you know, they have extra, that helps, you know. People who have seen that my boys need stuff, they've given us clothes, boots, winter coats, Christmas presents, you know. People do what they can to help. It's what I've always done, always, since I was a kid. And by kid, I mean kindergarten. It's always how I've done. And people are kind to me. And I do appreciate it. You know, I'm grateful for it. So, I like I said, I'm glad for it. And I'm very glad that I have the ability to take care of my family's needs, and somehow, even through the hardship and through other people ripping me off or other people not doing what they're ordered to do, all right, we still manage to have our basics met and have a little bit extra, especially to do things that make us happy. And it's always been, everything I do, I try to give back. It's just how I live my life. I am the real deal when it comes to that. So I really am glad, you know. And I'm looking forward to a show. Like I said, I hibernate from December to March, but once March hits, you're going to be seeing those ads looking for people. People are going to get calls. I know most of our venues are already booked right now. You know, I do a lot of this single-handedly, not all of it single-handedly, so I can only do so much, you know, so I take the dates that I get. It's no big deal. I actually like getting dates that the venues find difficult to get bookings for. So, like, we had one time I was scrambling to relocate a show, and I called one place, and they were like, the only thing we have is Father's Day. And I was like, I'll do it. Screw it, I'll do it. And I came up with a whole theme. And, I mean, it wasn't packed to the gills, but hell, his venue had more people in it than it would have had if I hadn't taken on that date. So I like that, because first of all, I consider it a challenge. And second of all, I helped that venue have people coming in and out and make a little more money than they would have made otherwise. So I help them, and then they also help me because, you know, they helped a good cause. They helped me do what I love to do, and they got, you know, some artists a gig and some money in their pocket, you know, and some genuine exposure. By genuine exposure, I mean, you know, people like to use the word exposure as an excuse to not pay people, which I do not do. But the exposure meaning that, like, they're genuinely connecting with people who have the ability to open doors for them. You know what I mean? So I'm glad for that, you know. So I don't mind sometimes taking those dates that are difficult to fill if I can genuinely do it. Like, I can't always do it. It's an expense and it's a lot of time, but I try. You know what I mean? I don't get paid to do this. And a lot of times it's like I have to lay stuff out and hope that I get back and break even. And I have to be wise about how often and how much I do that, because I have responsibilities. I got bills to pay and people to raise here. So I can't always lay it out like that if I don't think I'm gonna get at least break even. You know what I mean? So it's a lot, you know, but I try, you know, and I'm grateful for the support that I've received and all the talented and amazing people I've met, you know. And I'm even grateful for the people who've given me a hard time, because I've learned lessons and they've taught me how to step up my game and what to look out for. You know what I mean? I have a tendency to have that I'll show you kind of an attitude. Like, who do you think walked in the door? You think I'm a scrub who doesn't have any talent? Well, let me show you what I got. So sometimes those people who give adversity to me, they're actually the catalyst for me to work a little harder, and cool stuff happens when that happens, you know. So I'm even thankful for my haters, man. All right, everybody, please go and enjoy. Take some time out to put aside your worries, to put aside the money, the hustle, the struggle, the politics, and just go outside and be grateful for this hour still living, for the sun still shining no matter what, and for the stuff that you have that a lot of people don't have. Be grateful that the people you love are still in your life, because life, you know, is short. You know, take time and just breathe that air in, take that sunshine in, even if it's for 20 minutes, and be grateful for all. Count your blessings and be grateful for what you have. Even if it's just a little bit, you know, for what you have. And then worry about what you don't have later, but start with gratitude for what you have, man. All right? Because, like, the next 5 seconds aren't even guaranteed. All right. Hopefully I'll see some of you on the 21st. Bless up.